That brings us neatly to the end of that segment, but it doesn't. What I'd like to touch on very briefly, we touched on it in the last segment of the last interview 2 years ago, whenever, and it was your background, what you work at, and we never touched education. I'm wondering if you ever studied philosophy. It's not a fancy question. In France, they study it as part of their baccalaureate. Everybody has to do that.
Yes.
And we've paid scant attention to that in the pubs in Scotland, you know. But
you do have Robert Burns.
aye, but you know where I'm coming from. So, and it's leading on to the next question about writing and what influences. So, I want to know the background. What's influencing your thinking? What type of education and what you work at, and how that impinges on your outlook?
Yeah. So that's a good question. My background is academically is I've a political science undergrad program.
Yeah.
I did take a philosophy course, I remember, and I found it too difficult and I dropped it. But I'm very attracted to philosophy, but it's certainly not easy. It's not an easy study for anybody, I don't think.
No.
At least it wasn't for me. And also, when I was at university, I was hard at the 78th Fraser Highlanders, and university took the back seat. That was all about, that was when the band was just, so, but I read a lot. I read a lot.
What do you read?
Well, you know what? One of the last books I read was by Viktor Frankl, a famous book. I came across the title, Man's Search for Meaning. So Viktor Frankl's a famous fellow who survived the concentration camps.
Uh-huh.
And so it's a small book, but it's very intense. So anyone looking to, for a heavy Sunday afternoon, look for Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. But I also like light stuff. I mean, David Sedaris, he's an American writer living in the UK. Very funny guy, very bright. I read a lot, and I'm trying to give you something. I've always thought about. I had a great teacher in high school, in my last year of high school, and he always, Mr. Parker, I don't even know his first name, and he was a history teacher, and he was the first teacher that reminded us to always ask why, and then why, and then why. I mean, it's a really simple thing.
Yeah.
But I took that, and I've always carried that through and applied it to almost everything in my life. So, you know, the speed limit is 40 miles an hour. Well, why is that? And you say, well, it's because we've always done it that way. Well, why have you always... Like, I mean, you could take a really simple concept, and then sometimes you get an interesting answer.
Aye.
Outcome. So I think it's a really simple, yeah.
You work in banking?
Yes, that's right.
What do you do in banking?
I'm in the modern lingo, I think you could say I'm a change manager. So it's funny I'm in this. So change management is, you know, it is at its core. I mean, a lot of people, anyone looking at this will know what it is. It's managing the people side of change of a project. So there's a project implementing some new technology or a new process. So that's going to impact people. So what you do is ensure that there's structures in place to help people adapt to the change, whether it's training, the right communication methods, coaching, ensuring that leaders and sponsors of the project are on side and role modeling the change. So that's the kind of stuff that I do. That's clear as mud.
That's a difficult job.
Yes, it's damn difficult.
Because unfortunately you're dealing with people.
And it's messy. It's messy.
Aye, absolutely.
And people hate change, as we know.
I'm very, very fortunate in my life. I had lots of change, and to learn very quickly to reorientate in about 2 minutes, from one subject to another. So that is your influences. Now, on my knee here, I've got the magazine Piping Today, and it's the National Piping Centre. It's a very good magazine. I did the Piping Times thing for years, and frankly never took enough time. I just skimmed through pages, but I purposely bought 2 of these last week, the last 2 editions of Piping Today, and I must say I thoroughly enjoyed them. Still got to read them in depth yet, because lots have been going on World Pipe Band Championships. But you occupy the last 2 pages, Gray's notes by Michael Gray. And the thing that struck me here was these 2 articles. One was about plane crashes, and the other one was about it's signatures on a visitor's book in the College of Piping. And I'm saying, I'm halfway through both these articles, and where's it going with this? What's this got to do with piping? But it's like a good sermon, you always come to God before the end it, you know. And
I'll take that.
You come to the piping eventually, you know. But very, very erudite and wonderful writing.
Thank you.
How does it come into your head, this sort of stuff?
You know, there's a writer named, he just passed away, a Canadian-Scots writer named Alistair MacLeod, and he taught writing, and he wrote this great book called No Great Mischief, anyone looking for a great read. Anyways, he always said to his students, write the last line of your story, and then write to it. And so often that's what I'll do. I'll just, because I like to try, because it's a test for me as well. I mean, I'm amusing myself as much as anything, trying to see, well, what can I do? And I don't want to just write about, well, play your technique more open and you'll be a better piper. I don't want to go down that hoary old road that everybody knows, you know?
Yeah.
And that's not what Roddy and John Slavin are looking for from me. So
yeah.
Yeah,
it gives you it's many thousand words. So
I think it's 1,000 is the wall. Usually it's 1 page. I mean, if I had some good pictures for John Slavin, who's the features manager, and he turned it to 2. But in both instances that you're talking about,
absolutely, and wonderful. I mean, really,
thanks.
It's a good read.
Thanks a lot.
You obviously are a bit of a blogger as well online.
A little bit, yeah. I don't have enough. I don't do it as often as I'd like, but yeah,
that's interesting stuff, and you're on your own website.
Yeah, that's right, dunaber.com or michaelgray.com.
Yeah, and you come away with little ditties here and there, and
that's me.
It's good, you know. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It gets away back for the usual Facebook nonsense and all that, and I thoroughly enjoy it. What other writing do you do?
Well, aside from the stuff that I would do in my work and my blog, which isn't that much, the magazine's pretty much it. The Piping Today, that's the extent of it.
You've never actually written a book on piping, or
just not a book with words.
Too heavy going now, wouldn't it?
A lot of work, big commitment. Well, Bill Livingston just did it, and I know it took him years.
It's wonderful, actually, that book. It's a good read.
It's a good read.
But he fairly exposed himself, you know. But having said that, that was part of the interest in the book, and I thought it fabulous, you know. Here's somebody who's writing
pretty open,
knuckle, you know, and it's pretty good stuff. Covered a lot of subjects that folk wouldn't cover, and it was all the better for that.
Agreed.
Personal difficulties, this, that, and the next thing, but it shows you in adversity, if you've got the will, you'll come through there eventually, you know.
He reminds me of there's I forget where I heard this line from, but I think there's some truth in it, that there is strength in vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I think Bill's book is an example of that, where he showed his vulnerability and yet comes across very strong for doing it.
And it's having will to keep going.
Yeah.
And get there.
Very strong.
And so either makes you stronger, or you just cave in.
That's right.
And when folk become stronger, they become richer of a spirit also. And that shines through in everything that you do, including the music and,
Yep.
and all the rest of it, you know.